The Judge Judy courtroom fell dead silent as the blonde woman in designer clothes leaned forward, her voice dripping with venom and entitlement. "Listen here, you're nothing but a public servant. I pay your salary through my taxes, so you work for me. You're basically my servant." The attack was swift, calculated, and designed to humiliate America's toughest TV judge in front of millions of viewers. But what this entitled Karen didn't know was that she had just sealed her own fate in the most spectacular way possible. Judge Judy didn't explode. She didn't bang her gavel. Instead, she got that look. The one that makes hardened criminals confess their crimes and transforms cocky defendants into trembling messes. Because what Rebecca Hamilton Price didn't realize was that Judge Judy had something that would destroy her completely. Not just her background check, not just her arrest record, but something so devastating that it would end her career, her reputation, and her entire privileged existence in less than 10 minutes of live television. This wasn't just another case about property damage or unpaid rent. This was about to become the most brutal takedown in Judge Judy's 25-year history. A systematic destruction so complete that it would make grown adults cover their eyes in secondhand embarrassment. The woman who dared to call Judge Judy her servant was about to discover that she had picked a fight with someone who had access to every dirty secret, every criminal act, and every lie she had ever told. But here's what made this case truly explosive. Something that wouldn't be revealed until Judge Judy opened that thick manila folder sitting on her desk. Rebecca Hamilton Price wasn't just another entitled Karen with a bad attitude and a criminal record. She was something much worse. Something that would shock even Judge Judy's battle-hardened audience when the truth finally came to light. The real bombshell wasn't her arrests for shoplifting, assault, or fraud. It was what she had been doing while pretending to be a respectable real estate professional. A secret so dark that it would make national headlines and destroy multiple lives forever. The irony was perfect and cruel. Here was a woman calling Judge Judy a servant, while she herself had been secretly serving something far more sinister. Something that would make every viewer question how someone so dangerous had been walking free in their communities. Rebecca thought she was walking into a routine civil case about apartment damages. Instead, she had just walked into a trap that had been years in the making, orchestrated by someone who knew exactly who she really was and what she had really been doing. What happened next would become the most viral Judge Judy moment in internet history, shared millions of times across every social media platform, as people watched in stunned disbelief at the complete and utter destruction of someone who thought their money and privilege made them untouchable. This wasn't just justice being served. This was justice being served ice cold, with a side of public humiliation that would follow Rebecca Hamilton Price for the rest of her life. The cameras were rolling. Millions were watching, and Judge Judy was about to deliver a masterclass in how to destroy someone who thinks they're better than everyone else. But the real kicker, the moment that would make this case legendary, was still hidden in that folder, waiting to be revealed at exactly the right moment for maximum impact. Before we dive into this incredible story of privilege meeting reality in the most brutal way possible, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss these amazing Judge Judy moments. Seriously, you won't want to miss what happens next because this is about to get absolutely wild. And I promise you, the secret Judge Judy reveals about this woman will shock you to your core. Now let's see how America's toughest TV judge turned the tables on this entitled Karen and exposed the truth that would change everything. To understand why this moment would become legendary, you need to know exactly who Rebecca Hamilton Price was and how she had fooled everyone for so long. At 45 years old, Rebecca was the perfect picture of suburban privilege, complete with her freshly highlighted blonde hair, designer clothes that cost more than most people's monthly salary, and that condescending smile that said she believed the world owed her everything. Walking into Judge Judy's courtroom with her $4,000 Hermes bag and fresh Botox, she looked like every entitled Karen who had ever demanded to speak to the manager. But Rebecca's carefully crafted image was built on a foundation of lies that was about to crumble in the most public way possible. She presented herself as a successful real estate agent from Westchester County, living in a $500,000 home and driving a BMW that she claimed to own outright. Her social media was filled with photos of expensive vacations, designer shopping sprees, and charity galas where she posed with other wealthy suburbanites. To anyone looking at her Instagram account, Rebecca Hamilton Price was living the American dream. The case that brought her to Judge Judy's courtroom seemed routine enough. Rebecca was being sued by her former landlord, David Chen, for $8,500 in damages to a luxury apartment she had rented for 6 months in Manhattan's Upper East Side. Chen claimed that Rebecca had turned his pristine property into what looked like a disaster zone, with damaged hardwood floors, broken fixtures, and walls that reeked of cigarette smoke despite a strict no-smoking lease. But Rebecca's defense was classic, entitled behavior at its finest. "I'm a professional with excellent credit and references," she had told the producers during her pre-interview, her voice dripping with the kind of superiority that made people want to see her taken down a peg. "These people are just trying to scam money from someone successful because they think I'm an easy target. I've never damaged anything in my life." The confidence in her voice was unshakable, the kind that comes from a lifetime of getting away with bad behavior because money and connections had always made problems disappear. What made Rebecca particularly dangerous was her ability to manipulate people with her charm and perceived status. She had mastered the art of playing the victim while simultaneously talking down to anyone she considered beneath her, which was basically everyone. Her real estate clients described her as pushy and condescending, but she had enough family connections in Westchester to keep getting referrals despite her terrible reputation. She was the kind of person who would smile to your face while plotting to stab you in the back. From the moment she walked into the Judge Judy studio, Rebecca had been treating everyone like her personal servants. She demanded special parking, complained about the waiting room furniture, and actually asked a production assistant to get her a specific brand of sparkling water, because regular water gives me headaches. The crew had dealt with difficult defendants before, but Rebecca's level of entitlement was off the charts, even for a show that specialized in dealing with unreasonable people. Judge Judy's team had done their homework, and what they found was disturbing. Rebecca had a pattern of rental disputes going back years, always playing the same game of renting expensive properties, trashing them, and then refusing to pay for damages while claiming discrimination or harassment. She had mastered the art of manipulating the legal system, using her appearance and perceived wealth to convince people she was the victim in situations where she was clearly the aggressor. But there was something else, something that the producers had discovered during their background investigation that went far deeper than simple property damage and bad behavior. Hidden in Rebecca's seemingly perfect suburban life was a secret so dark that it would explain everything about her entitled attitude and her complete lack of respect for other people. The manila folder on Judge Judy's desk contained evidence of activities that went far beyond petty crimes and civil disputes. Rebecca thought she was walking into a routine case where she could charm and manipulate her way to victory like she always had. She had no idea that Judge Judy already knew the truth about who she really was and what she had been doing behind closed doors. The trap was set, and Rebecca Hamilton Price was about to walk right into it, completely unaware that her entire world was about to collapse on live television. The tension in Judge Judy's courtroom started building the moment Rebecca Hamilton Price opened her mouth to defend herself. When Judge Judy asked her first question about the apartment damages, Rebecca's response was pure entitlement wrapped in fake politeness. "Your Honor, I think there's been a serious misunderstanding here. I'm a respectable professional who has never damaged anyone's property. Mr. Chen is clearly trying to take advantage of someone he perceives as wealthy." The condescension in her voice was unmistakable, and Judge Judy's experienced eye immediately picked up on the subtle disrespect. Judge Judy had been doing this for decades, and she could smell a liar from across the courtroom. Rebecca's story had more holes than a piece of Swiss cheese, and her body language screamed guilt. Every time Judge Judy asked a direct question, Rebecca would deflect with comments about her status, her education, or her supposed good character. "I have a college degree from a prestigious university," she would say, or "I drive a BMW and live in Westchester County," as if those things somehow made her incapable of bad behavior. But what really set Judge Judy's radar off was Rebecca's complete lack of accountability for anything. When shown photos of the damaged apartment, Rebecca's response was to attack the landlord's character rather than address the evidence. "These pictures could be from anywhere, Your Honor. People like Mr. Chen always try to blame tenants when they want extra money." The phrase "people like Mr. Chen" hung in the air, with all the ugly implications of someone who thought her privilege made her superior to everyone else, as Judge Judy continued her questioning. Rebecca's mask of fake politeness began to slip. She started interrupting, making faces, and even had the audacity to check her phone during testimony. When Judge Judy called her out for her disrespectful behavior, Rebecca's response revealed everything about who she really was. "I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I have a business to run and clients to serve. Some of us work for a living and can't spend all day in courtrooms." The implication was clear. She thought she was better than everyone in that room, including the judge. Judge Judy's voice took on that dangerous edge that regular viewers knew meant trouble was coming. "Ms. Hamilton Price, let me explain something to you. In this courtroom, respect is earned through honesty and accountability, not through your zip code or your car payment. Do you understand that?" But Rebecca was too entitled and too arrogant to recognize the warning. Instead, she doubled down on her attitude, rolling her eyes and making it clear that she thought Judge Judy was beneath her. What Rebecca didn't know was that Judge Judy had been building her case methodically, asking specific questions that would trap Rebecca in lies and inconsistencies. Every arrogant response, every dismissive comment, every display of entitlement was being carefully documented and would soon be used against her. The manila folder on Judge Judy's desk seemed to grow thicker with damning evidence, and Rebecca's fate was being sealed with every word that came out of her mouth. The breaking point came when Judge Judy asked about Rebecca's rental history and employment verification. Instead of providing straight answers, Rebecca launched into a tirade about how she shouldn't have to prove anything to anyone because her word should be enough. "I'm a professional with an impeccable reputation," she declared with the kind of arrogance that made everyone in the courtroom uncomfortable. "I shouldn't have to justify my character to people who obviously don't understand the kind of person they're dealing with." Judge Judy sat back in her chair, and anyone who knew her recognized this as the calm before the storm. The folder was right there, filled with information that would destroy Rebecca's carefully constructed image forever. But Judge Judy was a master of timing, and she knew that the most devastating revelations were always saved for the perfect moment. Rebecca thought she was winning with her superior attitude and condescending remarks. She had no idea that she was about to face the most humiliating moment of her entitled life. Judge Judy had heard enough lies and condescension for one day. She leaned forward in her chair and delivered one of her legendary reality checks that had humbled countless defendants over the years. "Ms. Hamilton Price, you seem to be confused about where you are and who you're talking to. This is my courtroom, and I decide what happens here based on evidence and law, not your attitude or your bank account balance." Her voice carried that unmistakable authority that had made her America's favorite TV judge for over 2 decades. But what happened next would go down in Judge Judy history as the single most disrespectful moment ever captured on television. Rebecca Hamilton Price, in her infinite arrogance and entitlement, looked directly at Judge Judy and delivered the words that would destroy her life forever. "Listen here, you're nothing but a public servant. I pay your salary through my taxes, so you work for me. You're basically my servant, so show some respect to your betters." The entire courtroom erupted in shocked gasps. The plaintiff's mouth fell open in disbelief. The bailiff instinctively stepped forward, ready to restore order. Even the hardened camera crew, who had seen everything in 25 years of filming, stopped what they were doing and stared in complete shock. No one in the entire history of the show had ever been this brazenly disrespectful to Judge Judy. Rebecca had just crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. For a moment that felt like an eternity. Judge Judy sat perfectly still, her face a mask of controlled fury. Anyone who knew her recognized this as the calm before the nuclear storm. When she finally spoke, her voice was ice-cold and deadly calm. "Ms. Hamilton Price, you just made the biggest mistake of your life. And I mean that literally." The threat in her voice was unmistakable, and Rebecca finally seemed to realize that she might have gone too far. Judge Judy slowly reached for the thick manila folder that had been sitting on her desk throughout the entire case. Her movements were deliberate, almost theatrical, as she opened it and began to flip through pages of damning evidence. "You know, since you want to talk about who serves whom, let's talk about your history of serving the community. And by serving, I mean the very special kind of serving that people do when they're caught breaking the law." Rebecca's confident smirk began to fade as the reality of her situation started to sink in. She had just insulted and humiliated America's toughest TV judge on live television, in front of millions of viewers. And now, Judge Judy was about to reveal secrets that Rebecca thought were buried forever. The woman who had called Judge Judy her servant was about to discover what it felt like to be completely and utterly destroyed by someone who had all the power in the room. Judge Judy began her systematic destruction with surgical precision, reading from Rebecca's arrest record like she was delivering a death sentence. Let's start with your recent adventures in law enforcement, shall we? 2019 shoplifting at Nordstrom. Won $200 worth of designer clothes stuffed into your Hermes bag. You were arrested, fingerprinted, and booked like a common criminal. Rebecca's face went white as her carefully constructed image crumbled in real time. But wait, there's more. Judge Judy continued with devastating calm. 2020. Public intoxication and assault at a Greenwich country club. You were so drunk you couldn't stand, and when security tried to help you, you bit one of them. Yes, Ms. Hamilton Price, you literally bit someone like a rabid animal. The courtroom was dead silent as everyone absorbed the shocking revelation that this entitled woman was actually a violent criminal. Judge Judy flipped another page. 2021, check fraud. 3 bad checks totaling $4,800 to contractors working on your house. You knew they would bounce, but you wrote them anyway because you thought your privilege would protect you. Each revelation hit like a hammer blow, systematically destroying Rebecca's claims of being a respectable professional. And my personal favorite, 2022, assault in the 3rd degree. You slapped a teenage restaurant server because she brought you regular water instead of sparkling. A 17-year-old girl working to pay for college, and you physically attacked her over water. Rebecca was hyperventilating now, her perfect facade completely shattered, but Judge Judy saved the best for last. However, Ms. Hamilton Price, all of these arrests pale in comparison to what you've been doing recently. The real reason you're here today isn't about apartment damages. It's about the federal investigation that's been following you for months. The bombshell hung in the air as Rebecca realized her darkest secret was about to be exposed on national television. Can you believe this woman thought she could intimidate Judge Judy?
Make sure you're subscribed because what Judge Judy reveals next will absolutely blow your mind.
Hit that notification bell so you never miss these incredible moments of justice being served. Judge Judy pulled out the final document that would end Rebecca Hamilton Price forever. Ms. Hamilton Price, while you've been playing the role of a successful real estate agent, you've actually been running something much more sinister. The FBI has been investigating you for the past 8 months for operating an illegal rental scam, targeting elderly victims. The courtroom gasped as the dark secret finally came to light. You see, your little apartment damage case here? It's part of a pattern. You specifically target senior citizens, rent their properties under false pretenses, then systematically destroy them while stealing their personal belongings. The FBI has evidence of you victimizing at least 15 elderly homeowners across 3 states. Rebecca was shaking now, realizing that her entire criminal enterprise had been exposed on national television. Judge Judy continued reading from the federal document. Mrs. Dorothy Chen, age 78, lost $25,000 in jewelry and family heirlooms. Mr. Robert Martinez, age 82, had his late wife's wedding ring stolen along with irreplaceable photo albums. You didn't just damage property. Ms. Hamilton Price, you robbed elderly people of their most precious memories while they trusted you in their homes. The federal marshals are actually waiting outside this courtroom right now, Judge Judy revealed with devastating finality. This isn't just a civil case anymore. You're looking at federal charges for elder abuse, interstate fraud, and organized criminal activity. Your BMW already seized by the government. Your Westchester house? Frozen pending investigation. Rebecca collapsed into her chair, her entitled facade completely destroyed. The woman who had called Judge Judy her servant was about to become a servant of the federal prison system. So tell me again about respect and who serves whom. Ms. Hamilton Price, Judge Judy said with ice-cold satisfaction. The ultimate justice was about to be served, and Rebecca Hamilton Price's reign of terror against innocent elderly victims was finally over. This wasn't just a Judge Judy victory, this was a federal takedown that would protect countless seniors from this predator's schemes. Judge Judy delivered the final crushing blow that would be remembered forever. Not only do I find in favor of the plaintiff for the full $8,500, but I'm referring this case to the FBI for immediate federal prosecution. Ms. Hamilton Price, you are hereby banned from this courtroom and from appearing on any television program ever again. The verdict hit like a nuclear bomb. ending Rebecca's life as she knew it in front of millions of viewers. Rebecca's last desperate attempt to salvage her dignity was pathetic and laughable. "This is illegal. You can't just destroy someone's life like this. I have rights." But Judge Judy's response was legendary and final. "Ms. Hamilton Price, you destroyed your own life the moment you decided to prey on elderly victims. And you sealed your fate when you called me your servant. Security, please escort this federal criminal out of my courtroom." Within hours of the episode airing, Rebecca's world completely imploded. The FBI arrested her at her Westchester home in front of all her neighbors. Her real estate license was permanently revoked. Her country club membership was terminated. Her BMW was towed away by federal agents. Her bank accounts were frozen. Her perfect suburban life vanished like it had never existed. The viral explosion was unprecedented. The servant clip became the most watched Judge Judy moment in history, shared over 50 million times across all platforms. Judge Judy servant trended worldwide for 3 days straight. TikTok exploded with reaction videos. Rebecca Hamilton Price became the ultimate symbol of entitled privilege meeting brutal reality. But the real victory wasn't just Rebecca's destruction. It was justice for her elderly victims. The federal investigation led to the recovery of over $200,000 in stolen property and restitution for 15 families. Dorothy Chen got her jewelry back. Robert Martinez recovered his late wife's wedding ring. Judge Judy hadn't just exposed a criminal. She had saved countless future victims from Rebecca's predatory schemes. 6 months later, Rebecca Hamilton Price was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for elder abuse and interstate fraud. The woman who called Judge Judy her servant now serves meals in the prison cafeteria, a fitting end for someone who thought her privilege made her untouchable. This story proves that in life, just like in Judge Judy's courtroom, karma is real and justice always wins. When entitled people think their money makes them superior to everyone else, they eventually meet someone who can't be bought, intimidated, or impressed by their fake status. If you loved watching this entitled Karen get completely destroyed by Judge Judy, smash that like button and subscribe for more incredible courtroom takedowns. What did you think of Rebecca calling Judge Judy her servant? Let us know in the comments. Share this with anyone who needs to see what happens when privilege meets reality. Hit that notification bell for more explosive Judge Judy moments. Remember, preparation and truth always beat entitlement and lies. Justice served cold is the sweetest justice of all.